Like the food is a special food that
Hello, Gordon. When you're ready, we can start.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, right. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone, wherever you find yourself. This is another episode of the Ask Me Anything with the CEO. Today is going to be an interesting one on presentation skills. I think it's one of the things that most of us have taken for granted, but is it something that comes natural to people who are good at presenting? Is it something that can be learned? Should we even be bothered about it at all? If we want to, and it's that important, how can we learn to become good presenters? That's why we have an expert here, the name of God Inafo, to help take us through. So, Gordon, you are welcome. Let me give you about a minute to tell us a little about yourself and why you're here.
All right. Thank you very much, Gideon. It's been a long time. I know we go way back, and I have some strong relationship with hyperspace. All right. So good evening to everybody. Once again, my name is Godwin Eduafo. But when I stand on the stage to speak, I go by the name Godafo. So today you can call me Godafo because I'm actually not even standing on the stage, but I'm doing a presentation. All right, great. I'm a project management professional. I'm a lecturer, I'm a coach. I'm also an entrepreneur. And I'm super passionate about project management. I also like to read about leadership and get into entrepreneurship as well to help my business. So that's something small about me. And as we go, you get to know more about me as well. I must say I'm also passionate about public speaking, and it's something I teach as well. Even though I teach more of project management, but once in a while, I talk about public speaking. I teach people how to basically train the tongue. It's very important. So today I think we'll be talking about how to train the tongue as well. So yes, as we go, I'll be throwing more in.
Right. So let's begin with talking about presentation. Like when children begin to grow, we all learn to speak, and we are able to make requests and share our opinions and so forth. But why should we acquire presentation skills? What is it at all?
Oh, that's a good question. Presentation skills is under communication skills. And I always say this one, we're born to speak. I think that question will come up whether it's something that is innate or you have to learn it. But I think presentation or communication skills is super important because you basically need to speak wherever you are, and it's the language of the business. If you are a businessman, if you are an employee, if you don't really know how to talk, that will be a big problem for you. And again, we live in a virtual world now. You might have to do your presentation virtually, so you need to learn how to do these ones. So it's becoming vitally important to learn how to talk. I always say this one, if you know how to talk, it becomes quite easy for you to be accepted. I say this one, majority of the people are glossosexuals. That's a term I coined. So glossosexual, glosso means tongue. We're attracted to speech. So if you see somebody who can basically speak well, we kind of are drawn towards that person, So it's vitally important for you to learn how to speak. And again, it helps you to express yourself freely. Imagine you trying to bring something out and you can't really find the words to say them, bring them out. If you feel like there's still more in you to come out, and that doesn't really make you have some pleasure. So it's vitally important to learn how to basically talk. And again, if you want to become more employable, you need to learn how to talk. Employers look for people who can really talk well. Employers look for people who can really communicate, and people who can articulate views properly, ideas. Everybody now has to be a salesman. So when they employ you, they expect you to also know how to really express yourself. You become, especially when you're a manager, you are like an image for the organization. So you need to learn how to talk, to represent the organization at any point in time.
Thank you very much for the nice introduction to what presentation is. But you spoke about the fact that we all talk, right? And then you ended by saying that somebody who is able to speak well. What makes a good speaker?
Great. That's a good one. A great speaker is somebody with strong eloquence. And I think that one is something that many people can't really define. So I'll try to define what eloquence is. Eloquence, I use an equation, E is equal to E cubed times C. So if you want to be a good speaker, you need to watch out for these areas. You need to try to be an E speaker. So the first E is ease. You should be able to flow easily. That's an E speaker. The next E is enthusiasm. You need to bring enthusiasm to the game. When you speak, you need to speak enthusiastically. The next E is basically you also trying to be an effective speaker. You flow logically, so it has to make sense. So you need to plan well to make sure you flow logically. And the last one is your C, which is clarity. So ease, enthusiasm, effectiveness, clarity. When you can bring all these to the game, then you become an effective speaker. But we also have things you need to put in your presentation. We might have to talk about it. So I always say this one: if you're an E speaker, it doesn't make you eloquent. It doesn't make you a good speaker. If you are just an enthusiastic speaker, it doesn't make you a good speaker. You need to be 4/4. Because I talked about 4 areas, and 4/4 will make you whole, So you need to be 4/4 to be a good speaker. But when we go to presentation in terms of your slides and the content and all that, I use something called shark. You need to make sure you bring shark in there. So to be a shark, a stage shark, you need to make sure SHAQ is always in your presentation. If you do that, you dazzle your people all the time. So to be a good speaker, you have to be very eloquent. Number 2, you need to make sure shark is in your presentation. Shark is in your words as you stand on the stage. S stands for storytelling. So you need to tell stories. So at least you need to have a story. If, for example, Gifty O'Kine is asked to basically do a presentation, she needs to have a story for the people. So she has to practice one story at least to give to the people. What we need to know is when you are invited to talk, you are an entertainer. That's something that we don't get. You are an entertainer. So when you get on that stage, make sure you entertain the people. And we love to listen to stories. That's how come we could spend hours behind our TV, watching movies and all that. So we love stories. So at least have one story. H, hilarity. Entertain the people. Make sure there's something a little bit hilarious about your speech. There's a page, there's something in there that could get them to laugh a little bit. Make sure that is also in there in your content. And the A is acronyms. So you also need to make sure at least in your steps, you have an acronym, you have some mnemonics to help them remember some of the things that you've actually told them. If you create that, they'll always remember your presentation. I remember recently I held a session for PMI, and I had to talk about leadership. I bring all these ones in. I had to make sure I coin an acronym, and that helped. So wherever they meet me, they start using the acronym. I remember you did a presentation on leadership, Samuel's Fiat. They will use the acronym. So acronym will help people remember the key points. So if you have a vital information to give to them, see if you could create an acronym out of it, and that will leave a strong impact on the people's mind, So that is the thing that you need to think about. The last one is your questions. Q is for questions. You need to at least have 3 questions for the people. One thing I realized is whenever a question is posed, the mind wants to react because the mind is attracted to questions. So if you're doing your presentation and you basically would ask questions, people pay attention. Once you start with a question or at some point you bring in a question, they want to pay attention and try to find an answer to that question. So to engage the people, to help them remember your presentation, to make a strong impact, you need to tell stories. You need to basically have an acronym. You need to make sure you get them to laugh at some point, and you need to have questions. And if you could bring all these things in your presentation, I'm telling you, you will be perfect. Perfect is not a word to use actually, because there's no such thing as perfection, but you'll be a sublime speaker.
That's a near perfect speaker, right? I think we've caught the win already. It's interesting that you said that everybody should become a storyteller, right?
Yeah.
But there are some people that once they scratch their hair once, they have about 1,000 stories to tell. And some of us that also struggle, like we go blank when we want to tell a story. So then that brings us to the question, could we then conclude that there are some that are naturally good speakers, or is it that everybody needs to learn to become a good speaker?
That's good. That's a good question. And I saw that coming. One thing that makes you a good speaker is also getting to the heads of the people and try to know some of the questions that will be thrown at you, and you prepare your answer. So here's my answer. There are different ways of doing things, and I'll bring you different school of thought. We have geneticism. So that talks about genes. We have environmentalism. That's about the environment. And some people are saying that people are molded based on the environment they belong to. Others are saying that people are molded based on their genes. So I'm writing a book on how to become intelligent, helping people to become intelligent. And people are saying that people are naturally intelligent, born intelligent. If you're not born intelligent, there's nothing you can do, and I'm trying to disprove that, And the same thing goes with communication and presentation skills. Some people think some people are born presenters, or some people are born, communicators. Naturally, they are communicators. They do it effortlessly. That is true. We have some people who could do it effortlessly, but other people basically have to learn. So geneticism is where you do it freely, effortlessly, because it's in your genes. Biologically, you are favored. But if you are not favored in that area, you can still learn, because communication skills or presentation skills basically is learnable. It's a trait, it's an art. Art here stands for something that is a superior skill. So once it's a skill, it's learnable. That's something we need to know. Anything that's a skill, once you hear skill, know it's learnable. So once we call it communication skill or call it presentation skill, then it becomes learnable. So if it doesn't come to you freely, if it doesn't come to you naturally, you can still learn it. You can still learn it. And if you follow the laws, if you push yourself, if you keep doing the things that we'll be talking about here, obviously you become a good speaker. And if I tell my story, I started from a poor stage. We have different stages in there, and you start from a poor stage, to the sublime stage that I talked about. I started from a very poor stage and had to work myself to that sublime stage. So it's something that you can learn. It's something that you can learn, and you'll be talking about the things that you do to basically get to that stage. So it's learnable. And let me say this one before we get there, to let everybody know it's something that you can learn. Now, you are somebody called human, isn't it? If you go to the dictionary, human is basically any living member of the family Hominidae characterized by superior intelligence, articulate speech, and erect courage. So three things have been thrown in, three things. Superior intelligence, articulate speech, that's about communication, that's about articulative prowess, communication skills, how to talk. And the last one is erect courage, which stands for leadership. So these three things, leadership, articulate speech, superior intelligence, sown in everybody. Everybody is sown in everybody. If you basically work, if it hasn't come out and you work on it, it has to show. It's already sown in you, it's already planted in you. So we could work our way into that if it hasn't come to you naturally. But those of you even would have it in a natural way, if they don't practice, they will still lose it, because we have a law of use or lose. If you have something and you don't use it, you lose it. So if you're a natural speaker and you still don't practice, you still lose it. But if you are not a natural speaker and you keep practicing it, you also find it.
Thank you so much. These are golden nuggets. I think that most of us are going to become proficient speakers after this. So now, for those of you who are listening, whether you are on Zoom or YouTube, anywhere, if you have questions, you can post them, and we'll ask Godafo to answer. Those of you who are on Zoom, you can just unmute yourself or ask your question. So now, Godafo, those are very important points. And I like the fact that you concluded by saying that you either use or lose it. So even those who are naturally prone to good speaking, you need to continue to practice it, or your environment can also shape you to do better. Thank you so much. So now, you have come up with a number of theories that exist. But assuming that I find myself to be lacking, right? Whether in terms of creating stories or being able to organize my thoughts very well so that it's coherent, or be able to create some jokes, make things lighter even though they are serious. How can I learn it? Like, what are your recommended steps to learning these?
Okay, that's good. Number one, you need to find a mentor. I had a mentor called Jim Ron, and the way I speak, the way I do my things, many of them taken from him. He speaks enthusiastically, so I got that from him. And he will take his time to go through wherever he has to go through. He's a real teacher. So I learned all that from him. So you first need to basically find a mentor. So that mentor becomes the car driving ahead of you, and you learn from him. I always say this one: if you find a mentor, if you are driving behind a car, you need to drive better than the one you're driving behind, because when they hit a pothole, you have to dodge that pothole. So you need to basically find a mentor, somebody who you think talks well, and you watch how they basically speak, and there's a method behind the magic all the time. So if they are that fluent, there are some things they are doing that you could basically copy. If you follow, you also learn. Again, you could read. There are a lot of things about
just a question on the mentorship. Like, should it be a person that I'm able to meet face to face, or a person that knows me, or it can be somebody who does not even know I exist? But
Yeah, that's a good question, and I get that a lot. When we talk about mentorship, many people think, okay, Gideon, okay, are you done? I've got a question actually. Um, I think the line was breaking, but I've got the
Yes,
question.
yes, yes. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, but I got it. Yeah, I got your question. Yeah, so I want to go ahead and answer.
All right, then please go ahead and answer.
All right, great. So with that mentorship, you don't necessarily have to be close to the person, know the person before you can learn from them. We have imaginary mentorship, so you could have an imaginary mentor. Jim Rohn, for me, is an imaginary mentor. They have books, they've got videos, they have channels, so you can follow them. But if you are lucky, you might meet them one of these days. I'm not too lucky because Jim Rohn is gone, so there's no way I'll meet him. But there are a lot of videos that he has. I watch those videos. He's got some books. I read those books. And if you do that, you can learn a lot from them. So you don't necessarily have to know the people, know your mentor before you can learn a lot from them. Once you think they are your mentor, you could read the books they have, and the books, when they talk, all the things in their majority of the things in their heads basically come out. So when people speak, they speak about things they believe in. So if I keep listening to you, the things the things you believe in will be the things that will be coming out. So I could basically learn a lot from you.
That's great. So then you can continue with the other things you were adding.
Yes. So yes, find a mentor, find somebody you want to basically learn from. And number two, you have to read books. So you need to start to read books. Read a lot. You need to know a lot. To be a good presenter, to be a good communicator, you need to know a lot. You need to know a lot. One of the things that could help you fight nervousness, many of us will shy away from giving a speech because of nervousness, because of fear. And fear comes in when you don't have content. So you don't know a lot. So there's a lot of unknowns. What if I get there and I'm not able to remember my words, remember my content? What if the people laugh? What if I make a mistake? So you start thinking about all these things. But when you practice more and you start to know a lot, read a lot, then you build confidence. You start to build confidence. So you need to read a lot, get a lot of information, know your area code. If you want to be a project manager, you need to basically understand that area very well, understand all the terms, read a lot, and all that. Again, you need to also read self-help books. That's something that we don't do. That's how come your maths teacher will use the maths terms all the time to speak. And so therefore, these are mathematical speak, because they only read maths. They don't read outside maths. So it becomes difficult for them to express themselves freely. So if you want to be a great speaker, you need to also read outside your discipline. If you're a doctor, you also need to read outside your discipline. Social areas, be concerned about those areas, read the self-help books. It's been said that women are great speakers, better speakers than men. Biologically, if you go into science, they are ahead. Yes, because your kid, your daughter is likely to be more fluent than your boy, your son. Biologically, women are favored when it comes to language development. Is better in women or girls than boys. Good. But again, women read more of the self-help books. So they know how to express themselves. They are they are good at conversations. And if you could work your way in that area, it makes you a good speaker so that you could basically express yourself easily. So you also need to read wide, read outside your discipline, and practice. Practice starts with P for a reason, and that P stands for progress. So when you practice, you make progress. So we say practice makes progress. So you need to practice all the time. You do more, you're always talking, you're always practicing, you train your tongue as well, and also train your mind. That's quite technical, isn't it? But you also need to train this mind, because the mind has got something in there called motor cortex that controls the way you talk, the way the tongue moves and everything. So you need to train this mind. When the mind is in good condition, you can speak well. You know, your state, everything is state dependent. So you also need to train your mind and practice your tongue and keep doing this. You could talk to yourself if you haven't got the chance to speak to other people, you know, and I do that a lot. Every blessed day, I talk to myself 10 minutes. So yes, because you might not have the chance to keep talking because you need to do more. So I find some time to talk to myself 10 minutes. So I pick an area and start talking. You know, you are like a mad person, aren't you? You know, but the thing is, if you want to be great at something, it takes weirdness. You have to be weird, you know. So you speak every day, you practice and you do all these. Even the way your hand should move, all these, you need to basically practice them. So you need to practice. It's very, very important, you know, and look for opportunities to talk. If you go to church and they're looking for somebody to make an announcement, say, yeah, I want to do it, you know. So look for more opportunities to basically do that. You make some mistakes when you start. Remember, I said you start from a poor state. Some people will start from poor state. Others may start from average state. Depends, you know. So we have poor, we have average, we have good, we have excellent, we have outstanding, then we have the sublime stage, you know. So you go through the stage. You might start from a poor stage, but you need to keep doing, you need to keep practicing, you need to keep going. You make mistakes, you learn from them, and you get there, So key point here is practice.
Right. Yesterday I was speaking with somebody that said that progress is the only element that can see you get to where you want to get. That's
true.
You are not now. So yes, if we can take little steps, one after the other, we'll see ourselves doing well. I have some other questions, but Gifshuokan has posted something. She says that from your submission, does it mean one cannot be a good speaker if the person is not eloquent enough? And how can one work at that?
All right, yes. So yeah, of course, from the explanation I gave, if you're not eloquent, there's no way you can be a great speaker. You stand in front of people, what are you going to tell them? You know, if the words are not coming, you know, you stand there and you start going, so okay, that can't make you a good speaker. So you need to be eloquent. And you know, I talked about eloquence. Eloquence is not about you being that free speaker. We think eloquence is about you being a free speaker. No, if you want to, like the explanation I gave, the equation I gave, you also need to flow logically. But to be eloquent, you need to be 4/4. So you need to work on these ones. And like again, I think probably you join later. We talked about things you do to have that sweet tongue, to have a silver tongue. You have to practice. You need to practice. There are things you do. I could show you if I have got some more time. You need to first train your tongue. You need to first train your tongue. And to train your tongue, you could do some tongue training exercises. You know, you could wag your tongue every day when you wake up. You could do it for like 2 minutes. You wag your tongue to make it easy to bring the words out. And again, you also need to train your mind, because the mind, I said, there's something in there that controls the way we flow. So you need to be in a good state. You need to train your mind well. And you also need to learn how to pronounce your words. It's very, very important as well. Learn how to pronounce your words. Check your diction. Very, very important, because diction, vox, or your voice, mannerisms, they constitute 93% of your communication. Your words are just 7%. You know, so when people listen to you, your hands, they watch your hands, your mannerisms more, and watch the pitch more, and that is more attractive than even the words coming. You know, so you need to work on these ones. Like again, like I said, you need to practice. keep talking, keep talking, keep talking all the time. And as you do this one, you are giving it to your heart. It's a way of giving it to your heart. And when you give things to your heart, the heart will find a way to bring it to you, you know. So when the heart is touched, the hand and the body parts basically move naturally. So you practice, and it goes to the heart. It goes to the heart, you're forming a strong memory in there. And once the heart is touched, you stand on the stage, it comes to you naturally. Your heart will drive the show for you if you do not entertain fear. But if you entertain fear, you could practice, 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 get there. Once fear hits you, everything goes away. You go blank. Because when everybody's running, the heart will also run, isn't it? You are the master, you are running. Your heart will also run to a small corner. So you need to be confident, you know, and if you keep believing in yourself, confidence will find you. So keep practicing. And when you get on the stage, feel like a Rambo. So one of my quote goes like, if you stand behind the Rambo, feel like a Rambo. So that's what comes to my mind all the time. Once I get on the stage and I'm behind the Rambo, I feel like a Rambo. So in my head, I'm a Rambo. So I need to be confident.
All right, that's an interesting one. I feel like a Rambo behind the ambo. It rhymes. It's good that you spoke about public fear. Many of us are glossophobic. So when you see people like, wow, then we can go blank. So since that does not matter whether you are fully prepared or you are well exposed and you have stories and all that, what can one do when public fear downs on you on the stage at the moment where you need to talk? What do you recommend? What do I do to overcome that fear to continue speaking?
All right, great. Number one, it's something that you need to be aware of, and you practice indoors before you get on that stage. So it's called risk, isn't it? This could happen. In project management, we talk about risk mitigation. So I need to think about this. It could happen to me. I could go on the stage. I could feel nervous, you know. I might meet the people and get nervous, but how do I get back? So you could practice. When this one happens, this would be something I bring in. I need to tell a story. I need to basically do this. But to take this one away, this is what you do. To even not make it happen, this is what you do. When you go on the stage, you might entertain nervousness. That is natural. Okay, let me say this again. When you're on the stage and you, especially before you talk and you experience some nervousness, it is a natural feeling. You are not sick. You're not sick, okay? You are normal. It's a natural feeling. Even great speakers, Tony Robbins, they still experience nervousness a little bit, but they master nervousness. They master it, you know. So what they try to do to settle in is some will come with their stories, some will also come with a joke, you know. So they find a way to relate to the people. I don't think you'll be nervous when you have your own mates, you know, you stand in front of your own mates, or you're having a normal conversation with your own mates. You won't be nervous. Why? Because you know them. You are nervous because it's a new environment, and chances are that the people in there, you don't know them. So that will make you nervous, you know. So you try to get to the heart of the people. So you have your jokes with you. I usually would use a demonstration, you know, to win the heart of the people. People want to see new things. So I'll create something new. And demonstration, you don't need to even, you might not even have to talk that much. So I bring my things to you, I start demonstrating, you know, and it talks about what I want to talk about. Then the people like it, then I win their hearts. I also have another approach that really works. I will try to memorize the names of the people, at least 20 people, you know. So I start and I'm calling out names. Gift your kind, how are you doing, sir? How are you doing, madam? Thelma, how are you doing? Miss Douglas, how are you? Nanabna. I start mentioning names. And when you start doing that, they think like you know them already. So they become like your family members. They become like your friends, and they start smiling, you know, and that could calm you down, you know. And again, even before your presentation, you could try to find people, get to know people you don't even know. Make friends before your speech, and when you start, you see these people in there, and as soon as you go on the stage, they start smiling at you because they know you now, and when you see that smile, it pumps you up and you are ready to go. So you use these techniques, try to get on the stage, pick something that could connect with the people. If they ask you to go and speak in Tamale, pick something, a history in there before you start, talk about that history, to relate to the people. They start, laughing or start connecting with you, and that will calm your nerves and you'll be ready to go.
Thank you so much. I remember one of the trainings we had as trainers, I said that, so if you need to deliver to a new people, go early, try to speak with them.
Yeah.
Or if it is Zoom, log in early and then talk to people, have some background, and use that as a leverage to connect. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, TK, your hand is up.
All right, Gideon, thank you very much for this great opportunity. I think this is one of the very critical things that as entrepreneurs, as trainers, as lecturers, and as public speakers, we need to understand. Stage fright is a critical stage. It's a critical thing that if you're not very careful, it doesn't matter how good your story is, it doesn't matter how impactful you want to be, stage fright can seriously affect everything that you want to do. So in my experience, when I was going through public speaking training, one of the things I was told was to always have something unique about you that you take to the stage. So for example, they told us if you like music or you are a choreographer, you like choreography, or you like anything, that could be a backbone for you. So before you go on any stage at all, you have one of these things at the back of your mind, depending on the target audience you're going to look at. So for example, if I'm going to make students, let's say university students, the common song now that's going around is like, say, Buga. So deep down in my heart, as somebody who wants to really impact the students, as university students who love Buga music, I try to rehearse somehow about how to sing it, or how to dance it, how to choreography around the music somehow. So as soon as you get to the stage and for any reason, you get that stage fright, you quickly alert by this time you already alerted the DJ about it already. So as soon as you get in there and you get that stage fright, you quickly alert the DJ or whoever is in charge of the music. The person drops in the music, and then you start somehow, some boogie somehow. Before you realize, everybody in the stage, in the audience is also dancing around it. So you make sure that you dance throughout the music. So these songs are usually between 3 to 4 minutes. By the time you're able to sing and dance and fool and all those things around the music, by the time you finish, the stage fright is gone. Exactly. That has really helped me. I mean, see what it has. Recently, I was in the program in Tamale at UDS, the Nyankwala campus, and as soon as I got to the room, I thought I was going to meet like 20, 30 people. Not knowing I was going to be like 50, 100 people in the room.
Wow. So
quickly, I alerted the DJ and I said, Charlie, can we drop this music? Before I realized, the whole audience have taken over the stage. So by the time they all got back to their seats in the audience, I was okay. I went back to my old state, and I mean, you could see how you could connect with the people, what they really want to do. So you should know your style. And stage fright are normal. It happens. It doesn't matter how prepared you are. It doesn't matter how professional you are. It doesn't matter who you are. It can always happen to you depending on who is in the audience. So what I would say here is that as public speakers, we should find our mojo. That's what people would say. What's about you that would make you feel comfortable and connect to the people? And for me, that's about music. I don't dance. I don't know how to dance, but seriously, it really helps me. Gideon, thank you so much.
Yeah, just shake your body and then find your rhythm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's a good one from TK. Yeah. So like we said, you need to find a way to connect to the people, and that makes you a good speaker. And remember, when you are communicating, it boils down to your audience, so you need to know your audience and know what makes them tick. And if you could bring that in, you could relate to them easily. So that's good. But there's another one that I also teach other people. You might be a second speaker, you might be a third speaker, and usually if you are in that line, it works. When you get on stage, you could make them do the Wonder Woman pose. You know the Wonder Woman pose where you make everybody stand up, they hold their waist, open their legs for 2 minutes. Okay, then you give them the statistics. When you do that, your risk appetite increases by 33%, level of cortisol reduced by 20%, and your level of testosterone will increase by 18%. So when you give them these ones, then we do for 2 minutes, all of you are relaxed, and you yourself, you get relaxed, and it will pump you up. It gives you some energy. It's natural. It brings some natural energy to you, releases endorphins, and you are ready to go. And that could also help you fight stage fright.
Very good. And so, yeah, I think those are very good ones. So find something to do. It can that brings everybody up, and then you can take it off. But there are natural deficiencies that people have, and sometimes that can. And I think that's what Maxwell is asking, that he status, and so for him, that's his biggest fear when he has to speak. So what advice can we give to people who have some disabilities that could also engender fear in them?
Yeah, that's a tough question. There are some disabilities that might need therapists to deal with. There's something called aphasia. That's a speech disorder. And these are dealt with by therapists. But the mild ones, like you being a stammerer, not too deep, practice could help you. If you keep practicing, it could help you. And if you exercise more, that's something that we don't bring out. To be a great speaker, you need to exercise more. Because when your body moves, your brain grooves, your brain also moves. So when we exercise, we are training the brain, not just training the body. Exercise is super for the brain. So if you have any deficit, any disorder, if you constantly train, it could correct it at some point, because the brain is plastic. The brain is plastic. So when you keep practicing and when you keep training, and probably you could bring in diet, it could help to some extent. It might not take it away, but it could help to some extent. I usually would, today I didn't get the chance, but I usually will jog a little bit when I have a presentation. And when I do that and I start to talk, I'm on fire. Because when you do that, it raises your level of endorphins within you. It brings energy, it elevates your mood, it get all the articulators ready to flow, and it brings your flow in that strong manner. So exercise, I'm thinking, could help a lot of people suffering from these ones. And if you keep practicing, you will definitely get there.
Wow, that's good. Yeah. TK, you have something more to add?
Yeah, Gideon, for people who have natural disabilities, for them, I think it's an advantage for them if they want to take chance on that. So, for example, if you find somebody, let's say a blind person, somebody who is a blind person technically, for better one of words, if you go on a stage, you're going to speak, this is a natural impairment that's not your making, but for some reason you have a story to share, you have an impact to make. You could, the first thing is to just master the courage to get onto the stage. That's the most difficult part of it, to get in front of the people. If you are, for example, physically impaired, a cripple, for example, the difficult part is for you to build that confidence to get yourself onto the stage. Once you get onto the stage, naturally, everybody in the audience will begin to have some kind of, in quote, sympathy for you because of the state that you are. for such people, what I've noticed from the past and for people that have experienced and be following, they always start with their own personal story. What made you what you are at that point in time? What made you blind? Was it natural by birth? Was it something that you did along the line that caused you to be at that state? Was it something that polio that got you to become crippled? Tell a story. Don't start speaking your core message without taking the story about you. Because the moment you get on the stage, you'll be able to build the confidence to get on the stage with your nature as you are. People want to find out, oh, wow, how come this guy doesn't have 2 arms, but he's here on the stage? If you start talking about your points, about the 3 steps to become an entrepreneur, 3 steps to marketing strategy, those ones, they don't want to know. They want to know why you are there because of the state, of the natural state you are. Tell a story about that. And after that story, you pause for a few minutes, and then you begin to now tell, now, based on 1, 2, 3 of how I am right now, I want to share with you 1, 2, 3 for how you can also get out of this state and become who you are. You are done. You are done. There was a story that actually I was in a stage in Kigali in 2019, and this guy came on the stage without arms. I mean, he has 2 legs, but no 2 arms. I mean, both arms were not there. The guy got on the stage and started walking to and fro, went from the left, went to the right, and everybody was like, what is this guy going to do? And the credential of this guy was so good. He has a PhD in chemical engineering and some other accolades and stuff. So we're expecting this guy to come to talk about chemical, blah, 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 and all those kind of things. And the guy started talking about how his mother told him that when she was pregnant, she attempted abortion. And then she thinks that because of the abortion, that's why the son, who is now on stage now, does have 2 arms. So he's advising that if you have any idea of causing abortion and blah, 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 please don't do it because you could cause harm to somebody else. At the moment, Gideon, I'm telling you, everybody was numb in the room. They said, yo, guy, don't worry. He started laughing, started joking, and said, okay, well, now I'm here not to talk about don't cause an abortion, but I'm here to talk to you about how do you sustain your business when everybody's discouraging you? We're all alert, So his story, based on his natural state, gave us the connection with him, and then we could soak deep into the story, the message he had for us. And actually, I had a picture with the guy. I mean, such a solid guy. Either the story was true, if his mother tried abortion or not, nobody understands. But the point is that he was able to connect with us. We got his attention, and he delivered a powerful message in just 15 minutes. And after today, I still remember this guy. So for people with natural state, I would advise that tell a story. Can you tell a story about why you are who you are right now, and use that connection to now connect to the audience based on what you want to talk about. And we want to know. I mean, I'm like my colleague is saying, we want to know stories. What's about you, why you are here? That's what we are looking for. If it's about the 3 points this and 5 points this, 7 points this, we can read on the internet and get to know about it. But what's the natural thing about you? Okay, so I really appreciate what my colleagues say. I didn't get his name right, but I honestly, Gideon, I didn't get such a good job. God bless you, bro.
Good. Thank you. That's Godafo. And story sells. Story really sells, and so we all need to do that. Yeah. So Godafo, now let's move on. We've spoken a lot about the verbal presentation. Now you touch a little bit about when you need to also have a written one that you present on PowerPoint. What are your recommendations? What will help make a better presentation? And when you need to combine the verbal and then the bullet points on PowerPoint, what are your recommendations for any good speaker?
All right, then. So when we come to the slides, some of us will try to put a lot of information in the slides, but it's not too good. You need to practice and should be able to deliver from outline. So you need to have your bullet points and you need to know the points code. So pick a point, you should be able to explain it. Don't throw in much information. And again, you need to have more visual cues. You need to have more information in there, pictures in there to support your words. So you need to basically support them with pictures. If you are talking about an area. If I'm talking about ship, obviously I need to have a ship in there. If I'm talking about kids, learn how to cross the street, I need to have a picture to depict it, and that will support your words, will make them understand it better. So you need to increase your visual cues, increase your information cues in your presentation, and not just words, words, words. So bring more pictures in there and make it quite brief. Make it brief in there. Every slide should be that brief. And so again, you need to hold more information in your head than your slides, and you deliver from the outline. And again, don't forget your shark. As you do this one, at some point, you need to practice this one really hard and know at what point do you tell a story. Like TK said, you need to bring story, like we already talked about. You need to know at what point you bring a story. You should know at every step what should happen. In my third slide, this is what should happen. In my fourth slide, this is what should happen. You need to practice this one code, practice it hard, before you jump on the stage and have your questions. When do I bring in those questions? When do I basically use the acronym? Where should the story go? But you need to also think about changes. Anything could happen, so I keep saying this one, you need to practice, you need to be a risk manager, manage your risk. For example, you might be given 1 hour. I went for a presentation. We were YA program. We were touring the whole of Ghana. We went to Koforidia. We were given 45 minutes to talk. But when we got there, they said they didn't have much time. So we have to do it within 25 minutes. But we had prepared for 45 minutes. So you need to improvise. These are things that could happen. And as a speaker, you need to be prepared for all these things. What if you don't have all the 45 minutes? What happens? Which areas in your slide would you pay much attention to? Where would you run? Where would you walk? You need to understand all these things, so when they happen, you are well prepared. When you go through these ones, it will bring down the nerves. It will calm the nerves. It will take away the nervousness because you try to understand the environment. Again, we didn't talk about imagination, but it also works. Before you get to the stage, imagine how things will go. You get the mind there before you get there. One of my quotes says, be there before you get there. So before I speak on a big platform, I will imagine how things will go. I'll imagine the people, and believe in myself. I see the people clapping even when it hasn't happened. I see the people clapping. I'm on the stage delivering. Everybody is happy. You imagine. When you do this and you get on the stage, the mind knows you have been here before. I want to tell you something about your mind. I'm a student of the mind, so I talk about the mind a lot. The mind doesn't know the difference between what has been imagined and what has actually happened. So if I imagine being on that stage, even when I haven't gotten there, when I get to that stage, the mind thinks we have been there before. So once I get on the stage, it calms me down, and the mind is ready to go. This is an experience. It's something that we've done before. So that could also help you, So you do all these things, you get on the stage, you check your slides, and you need to be early, like you said, understand how things work, understand the environment. You don't go there late. You don't even know how to work through your slides. You don't know how to connect this. Make sure you go early, sort out all these things before you jump on the stage, and that will basically help you. So draft a good content, practice, deliver, learn. Whenever you finish every presentation, it becomes a lesson. So take your time, go through your presentation, learn everything, and make sure next time you have the same presentation or a similar presentation, you will basically improve. So these are some of the things that you could basically do to be a great speaker.
Thank you so much. And so, knowing your content is where somebody was presenting and the slides will not move. And the person was so disturbed that he was there waiting for the slide to move before he speaks. I'm like, you are the one that prepared the slide. Very important. TK.
Yes, Gideon, thank you once again. I'm contributing a lot to this because of my personal experiences with some of this public speaking stuff.
Yeah.
What I was actually taught when I was going to my public speaking training was something called mental rehearsal, and that's supposed to also help us with what my colleague just said about preparing. The point is that unless you copied the slide from somebody else or you pick it off somebody else, whatever you are going on stage to go and speak about is something about you. It's a story about you and an impact you want to make to the audience. So there's no way technology or some shutdown or some power outage should affect you. But what I was taught with my training was that with mental rehearsal, what you do is that if you have actually personally prepared your slides and prepared to go and speak, what you need to do is that go through every single slide. Most likely, if you can, find somebody who has attention to detail and let the person have a look at your slides. These persons would be able to dot the I's and cross the T's and all that to make all the grammar and spellings and everything correct for you. That's fine. But most importantly is for you because you are carrying the story you're going to take to the stage. So you do mental rehearsal. And mental rehearsal basically means that assuming that at the point of your presentation, everything goes off totally, that you cannot have access to any material that you have, what do you do at that point in time? If you have mentally rehearsed your material, what that means is that you should be able to go from point 1 to point 7 or to point 10, just talking without referring to any material at all. So what you do is that once you have gone through all the editing and proofreading and grammar checks and all that, you sit down, you go through all the slides and ask yourself, you close the slides, and then you try to see if you can remember the various points you have actually put down to tell the story to the audience. If at any point you are not able to go from point 1 to point 7 on which you are going to talk about, you need to make sure that you're able to master that, because anything could happen on the stage. I mean, a wink from a lady on the stage to you, your eyes alone could totally confuse you. Totally confuse you. I mean, you are presenting, a lady sitting in front of you, she picks her legs, crosses her legs, and then look at you and then just wink you a little bit. Honestly, Charlie, if you're not very careful, Gideon, trust me, you go off track. So at that point, what do? You can only resort to your mental. I'm telling you, Gideon. So at that point, your only resort is to just go into your mind to find out, okay, can I remember what I'm going to present? And then you flow naturally based on your mental rehearsal. So mental rehearsal is you trying to recall the point you're going to raise, the key points you're going to raise in a presentation. Forget about the details. All you need to understand or remember is the key points. Point 1, I will say this. Point 2, I will say that. Point 3, up to point 7, point 2, whatever point you have. And then once you're able to recall those critical points, naturally, if the story is yours, you'll be able to flow. So mental rehearsal is one of the criticals that have really helped me. And I think, all of us here should be able to try that. Close the laptop, close the machine, turn off the paper that you have printed, and ask yourself, what am I going to talk about? What is my objective? What am I going to talk about? Point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4. How am I going to conclude? What is my call to action? And once you can rehearse that, you're good to go. Forget about any technology, you'll be good to go. But most importantly, please do rehearsal. Please go on time to the venue to erect you. What is it there that I don't have? PowerPoint, projector. I mean, technology. They can mess you up big time.
Yeah.
Extremely big time, I'm telling you. So this has been an experience I want to share with you, Gideon. But honestly, I want to appreciate our guests for the experience. I really love it. I thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much, Gideon.
Then Gordon, the linguist that does not know what to say, like you heard, we appreciate your coming. And I think the mind training is something that Gordon has emphasized a lot, and says that he will even need an hour more to tell us about how we can mentally train ourselves. But Gordon, lastly, my last question, what should be the relationship between the person presenting, the slides, and the audience? I think that's a major issue that people find it difficult to manage. So I've been in a session where the person is just facing the slides and then the back facing the audience, and it's like the person is reading. What are your recommendations in terms of our demeanor or disposition when we are presenting with slides?
All right, that's good. People really want to be engaged. So when you are speaking, you need to engage the audience. So when your slides is behind you and you have to turn and look at your slides, and read from the slides and not engaging the people, that's not good. So some environment will make sure your slides might be behind you, but you don't have to turn. You could still see your slides. So they could position it somewhere in front of you so you could still see your slides and basically present from there. So you don't have to go back to the slides. So that should be a great way for you. But if that arrangement is not in place, what you could do is to basically have your laptop positioned in such a manner that wouldn't make you look back. So you should also have your pointer. Very, very important. I've seen many people go do presentation without pointers, so they have to now get close to the laptop and start press, or tell other people next slide. It takes away the shine. So you need to practice all these, or like TK said, you need to go through all these ones, get there early, know the arrangement. If it doesn't work for you, see what you could do to make all these ones work. You could make recommendations. I usually will have my pointer with me all the time. So when I go and you haven't got the pointer, I've got my pointer, I'll stick it in and we'll use that. So you need to be well prepared, and early is magic. So make sure you get there early. You find out all these ones, because if you don't own the environment, trust me, you will mess up. If you don't own the environment, you definitely mess up. So you need to check all these things and engage the people all the time. Make sure you maintain eye contact. So if you don't have to be looking back, it's not too good, you don't have to be looking back. So make sure the eye contact is there all the time.
Thank you so much. I like the point that you made, that we should own the environment, own the space. You are the one that controls what happens there. And yes, go with a pointer so that you do not have to run to your your machine to change slides or call out the next slide and so forth. I've also shared a link in the chat. It's called Pair Deck. In fact, you can connect to the slides using Google Slides on your phone, and you can use that to control whatever you're doing. There are a number of these tools that you can also use, and that is very good. Yeah, TK, before I go to God Afro for his last words.
Okay. All right. So another thing that I've used in the past is it's very tempting to stand 180 degrees, your back facing the slides, and then you're facing the audience. And as Gordon said, you'll be tempted to show your back to the audience somehow. What I do usually is to stand 45-degree angle between your slide and the audience. So you position yourself in such a way that at the twist of 45 degrees angle of your head, you see your slide on the screen, and at 45 degrees twist on your right, you see your audience on your left, depending on where you are standing. So you stand 45 degrees angle between the slide and the audience. So you don't technically stand 180 degrees to the audience, facing them straight away, and your back facing the slides. So you're more like facing both the audience and the slide. It really helps sometimes, especially when your pointer is not working, and then somebody's controlling the slides for you. If somebody's controlling the slide for you, you are better off seeing your slides on your left slightly, because you know your points already. So you only have to see the point on the slide, and you turn back another angle, 45 degrees, and you're able to face the audience to speak. So it really helps sometimes as well. So public speaking is not easy. It's an art and a science at the same time. We need to practice. We need to learn the science of it. We need to constantly be. I mean, sometimes I would even do a personal rehearsal in front of my mirror before I even go out to go and speak. You need to see yourself in the mirror. How are you going to present? Even your mouth, the way you even open your mouth sometimes, you need to see how you open your mouth and your eyes sometimes, your gestures. So it's an art that it's a science that you need to learn, but the art bit of it would also help you to become a much more professional, much more impactful, a much more connecting person when you stand in front of people. But Gideon, what I would like to say finally is that you must master the environment, as Gordon just said, and also master your content. Don't fake it. If you don't know it, you don't know it. if you don't have stories to connect with what you're saying, don't worry yourself with it. If you don't know, you don't know. So you must, I would always go for a program where I know the content, I have an experience in there, either my personal experience or some experience from other people that I've read or seen that I would go there to go and share. If none of these things apply to me, I would never attempt to go and do anything. I mean, assuming you ask me to go and speak about a program on aerodynamics, I won't come, Gideon. There's no way I would ever come.
If even you come and listen.
Exactly.
And learn, which is also important.
So you master the content, make sure you know what you are saying, and then make sure that you master the environment, as Gordon just said. We all need to make impact in our society. So, bro, thank you very much for the opportunity as well.
Thank you so much also for your contributions. We are glad that you are sharing that. Like Gordon said earlier, the thing is PowerPoint, so don't write stories on your slides. If they are only points, you only have to take a glance and then you can connect again with your audience and proceed, which is very good. Gordon, you have a question and then you can add your final words. Tema is asking that what is the best thing to do when you are asked a question you don't have an answer to during your presentation? So please answer that and add your final words.
Great question. I get this a lot. And here's the answer. If you don't know, you don't know. Yes, and there's nothing wrong with not knowing. So the best answer is telling the people you don't know. I'm a lecturer, so sometimes I'm asked questions I don't know. I tell the students I don't know. We'll find out. It's way better than you trying to force an answer. It could make you look more foolish. So if you don't know, it's better you tell them you don't know. And if you don't know, people, the thing is this, and I tell you this about the mind. When you are asked a question you don't know, people are forced to ask you a different question, because they still want to hear you, So if you don't know, they are likely to ask a different question. So if you don't know, don't force it. Say you don't know, but you will find out. And we all want to learn all the time. So don't force it. It might make you appear more foolish, And I think my last submission will be this. We all can become great speakers. We all can become great communicators. All we have to do is to practice. For my presentation, you won't miss this one. You need to practice. So I have some small cycle called QIQ cycle. You need to do more. That's quantity. So do more. So look for the opportunity to do more. Speak all the time, practice every blessed day. And I'll tell you this, make sure you read, take a book every day and read out loud for like 10, 20 minutes. Every blessed day, take a book and you read out loud. You hear yourself speak for like 10, 20 minutes. If you could do that all the time, it would train your tongue. And your mind will know exactly what you want to achieve and will try to make it happen for you. The mind was created to help us achieve whatever we want to achieve. So take a book, starting today, you want to be a great communicator, read it out loud for 20 minutes. If you want to do it, go 20 minutes. You could even do 30. Read it every blessed day. And make sure you pronounce your words correctly. We don't talk about it, but being a great presenter, I told you 93% it's from your pitch, your vox, and your mannerisms. So you need to work these ones out, train all these ones, train how you bring out your diction. It's very, very important. Learn how to pronounce your words well. We don't usually do that. And when you do that, you be a sublime speaker, So thank you very much for having me. It's been great having all of you, Maxwell, Telma, Nanabna, Gifty, TK. Yes, great contribution from TK. I enjoyed that. I learned a lot. Filipina, thank you all for coming. Hudo, yes, I see you as well. And great thanks goes to Gideon for having me today, to also share my ideas. So I've also learned a lot, So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, Godafo, for coming and for sharing all this with us. All those that asked questions, TK that added contributions, we are grateful. And we hope that we'll have all of you come on next week for another round of discussion. Before you go, if you can turn on your videos, we'll take a virtual picture for a memory. So please turn on your videos. And on your videos, those who are calm. So I'm going to count down from 5 to 1, and then we take the screenshot. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then please give us a smile. Please continue to smile, and then we'll take pictures. Yes, I've taken plenty. All right, enjoy your evening. See you all next week.
All right.
Bye-bye. Bye, Gordon. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.